Okay.
What
Oh.
the heck? My bad. I don't know why I just did that. It was freaking working earlier. Alright, should be good. There we go.
There I am. Hello and welcome to the Do Not Disturb Football Podcast. And a lot of I'm hearing no sound.
Yeah, it should work now. I thought I heard like an echo from your point of view, but it just might be on something on my end. I don't know. But I think
Okay.
they should be able to hear you now.
Okay. Well, the Raiders had an exciting matchup with the Chiefs. They kind of fumbled it at the end, literally. And there were a couple of different. There's an echo.
Yeah,
Major echo.
I don't know.
All right. Try
Is
that.
that the?
Nope, that's not the right one.
Is that one setting where you have to control the audio through? Oh, and I'm calling. Oh, okay. maybe that helps a little bit.
Okay, now I think everything should be back to normal.
Okay, our sound should be back. Sorry about the mishap and the echoes. But let's get into the injury report. We have Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman from the Bills. They are both questionable. Roshan Johnson from the Bears. He is questionable with a concussion. Jake Ferguson from the Cowboys is questionable. CeeDee Lamb is questionable from the Cowboys. Josh Downs from the Colts is questionable. Trevor Lawrence, you saw that concussion that he had this weekend. That was kind of shown everywhere, and that was a pretty bad scene. He is questionable. Zamir White, Alexander Madison for the Raiders, they are still questionable. Ladd McConkey for the Chargers, he's questionable with a knee injury. That's a new injury, I think, for him. Matthew Stafford, he is questionable with an ankle injury. Taysom Hill, they have him out for this game, but I think he's out for the season. Looked like he tore at least one ligament. Devontae Smith, he is questionable with a hamstring again. Calvin Austin III, he is questionable with a concussion. That's the receiver for the Steelers. DK Metcalf for Seattle, he is questionable with a knee injury. Baker Mayfield for the Buccaneers, he is questionable with a leg injury, along with Bucky Irving. And then Noah Brown and Austin Eckler for Washington are both questionable. But Nim, how are you doing today? I know you have that new computer. Is it running well?
Yeah, no, it's doing really, really well. It's nice and fast. I feel like the other computer, I wasn't even able to wasn't even able to download any games or anything like that. So it was nice. Shout out Ricky's brother. He's kind of helped me with the computer and whatnot. But yeah, no, I'm doing well. So I'm trying to figure out some OBS stuff, but I'm in 4 leagues as I've mentioned this whole season, and this past week I clinched in all 4 weeks. All 4 playoffs. So I have that little asterisk by my name in the standings, and so it's exciting.
Nice. That's in 12-man leagues too, right?
Yeah. Well, 14. So I have a 14-man league, and then I have 2 Yahoo leagues, which they do it kind of differently. So they're in 10-man. It's a 10-man league, but the top 4 are the ones that clinch, or that it's a 4-man playoff. And since it's a 4-man playoff, it's 15-week seasons. So like our fantasies is 14 weeks. So this is the last week for the regular season, and then next week is playoffs. But next week would be the final week of the regular season, and then the week 16 is the first week of playoffs. So just a little different, but yeah. So I'm excited. All my teams are doing pretty well, but I guess we'll see in playoffs.
Did you draft similarly in all teams or no?
Yeah, I tried to. So to a certain extent, but then like I have in one league, in actually both Yahoo leagues, I don't think I have Kyler Murray, and in our league I have Kyler Murray. In my ESPN leagues, I have Kyler Murray. So I try to make it pretty similar, but if there was like because we did our draft first, so then when I remember us debating between Rachaad White and Kenneth Walker, and so our league I drafted Rachaad White, and then the other league I did Kenneth Walker. In this league I chose McLaurin. The other league I chose Pickens. So it was kind of nice to kind of juggle to get both of those benefits.
Nice.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I'm also in the playoffs. I am the 6th seed, so just barely got in after losing to Darian and Austin back-to-back weeks, but I'm in. And for Darian, he is fighting not to get last. He's renamed his team in our league to Don't Get Last. So we will be paying attention to the losers bracket in our league because it means a whole lot for the loser. They will be either running with a toilet seat around their neck and doing a beer mile, which for the people that are asking what a beer mile is, I don't know if this is the regular beer mile, but we usually do 2 beers per fourth of a mile. So I think most people do.
We did 1 beer per lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Kaysen did too.
It was just weird because he did went back and forth, but each lap or each whatever turn was at like a quarter of a mile. So he had 4 beers in total.
I was there where we were giving the beers out. I was thinking he was having 2.
Oh no, he just had 1. That would be wild if he had 2 though.
But yeah, means a lot for the loser. Hopefully it's not Darian, but it looks like it'll be between Ricky, Darian, Quaz, and Austin.
Mm-hmm. And if there's 2 people that have the worst record, they both have to do the beer mile. And then the person that has like the more points for has to wear the toilet seat, or the person that has the least points for has to wear the toilet seat.
And it's kind of crazy looking at those teams that are in the last place. Quaz kind of makes sense. Austin also kind of makes sense. And then Darian has a really good team. I don't know how he ended up, being in those last 4. And Ricky, he drafted Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua with his first 2 picks of the draft, and those guys really screwed him throughout the season. So
Yeah. It's so funny. I think the worst record is a worse punishment than if you lose in playoffs. Me personally. So it's gonna be interesting. That's why, like, honestly, the goal of the season was really just to make top 4, because then you get like your own room if you get top 4. But it was really just to make playoffs, so you don't have to worry about any of the punishments, and
yeah,
you enjoy the weekend essentially instead of having
I
to
started
dread.
I started the season 1-4, I think, and I think I was 1-4. I'm pretty sure I was 1-4, and I was feeling like how I'm imagine Darian's feeling. And I was really stressed out about the punishments, but I got in.
Yeah,
So
I mean Carlos was 3-3, and he clinched
yeah,
number 1 seat. So that's insane.
and really, you look at the top 6 teams. It's really hard to say who's going to win. I
Yeah.
really have no idea now
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a
because
great playoff.
I was thinking Kaysen last week, and then I started looking at his team, and I was like, maybe not Kaysen, but then, I mean, I guess Jordan Mason's out for the next 4 weeks. I was thinking Jordan Mason would be healthy, but Carlos's team's pretty good. He has Jamar Chase and
Nico,
Josh Jacobs and Nico and
Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers, so he has a pretty solid team. Nimmer's got a really solid team. Hook's got a really solid team. It'll be
Devin has a really solid team too. You have
Devin
a
has
solid
really
team. I mean,
Devin has a really good team. Yeah, it's going to be very. I have no idea who's going to win.
yeah, which is fun.
It's gonna,
I like that.
it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Let's get into. First the Pick'em League. Unfortunately, shout out to my bank when I had to get my card replaced. I went to. I told that story a couple weeks ago when I had to get my card replaced. So I went to make the bet. I've been doing, a $1 or $2 bet on each game, and I was getting them all wrong. Went to put the bet in this week. The FanDuel said you don't have your card synced with this, so I was like, that's too much work. And I ended up picking every single game right.
Oh my god.
So that's great. And Sammy also got every single game right, so she's still up 4 games on me.
Damn.
In the number 1 spot. But
Talk about leaving money on the table.
Shout out to whoever was trying to steal my card number or whatever.
Damn, man, that's insane.
Every single game.
You know what? That's what betting is, though. It's the ones that you don't do, and you're like, this week, I haven't hit this in whatever 14 weeks, and then the one time you don't put it in, that's what happens.
I've done that 2 times this season. Picked every single game correctly, and I didn't bet those weeks, and missed out on good money.
Yeah, really good money. That's insane.
But Sammy's still number 1 in that league. The Thanksgiving games, there was some pretty interesting games. You had the Bears-Lions. That one feels like forever ago, but there was a time debacle at the end of that, which it led to the Bears losing in the last second. Dolphins-Packers was, I thought, a pretty surprising game. The Packers looked really good in that game. Miami didn't look very good. There was another, the Cowboys-Giants. No one cares about that game. During the weekend, you had the high-scoring affair with the Bengals and the Steelers. That was a really interesting game. Steelers come out with the win. Seattle, they had a comeback on the Jets, 21-6, come all the way back to beat them. Yikes. Aaron Rodgers threw a pick 6, 93-yard pick 6 in that game to pretty much seal the deal.
To a D lineman.
Yeah. Colts beat the Patriots by 1. Vikings outlast the Cardinals. Commanders beat down on the Titans. Eagles beat the Ravens at home. The Niners lose to the Bills in a pretty embarrassing fashion. And the Broncos come out on top in another high-scoring affair last night.
Yeah.
What are your
Pick
reactions to
sixes.
any of the games?
It's kind of, this is the time where good teams kind of drift away and go above the herd, and then the bad teams kind of start tanking, and you can kind of distinguish the good and bad teams. One thing that kind of pisses me off, and I guess we'll talk about it a little later, but it's the whole Steeler thing. So when the Ravens beat the Bengals, they're all like, "Oh, Lamar Jackson is so good. So Lamar Jackson is so good. Ravens have such a good offense." Blah blah blah. Blah. But then when the Steelers beat the Bengals, it's like, "Oh, Joe Burrow should not be throwing these turnovers." Blah blah blah. The defense sucks. Blah blah blah. There's no praise to the Steelers at all.
Oh, yeah,
So
no.
it's like, why is there such a discrepancy when it comes to when the Steelers play a team, and then when the Ravens or when anybody else plays the exact same team and the exact same thing happens to that team? It's like, why can't we get that praise? So that kind of pissed me off this weekend, especially, I guess, yesterday and today. Just watching. Now I got cable because I'm at my parents' house. And so I'm like watching like First Take and all these other type of shows and whatnot, and they're all just like talking about, oh, it's Joe Burrow's fault that they lost, and then there's like this huge argument. I'm like, are we not talking about the Steelers winning? Like, are we not talking about how the Steelers find a way to win, and the Steelers, if the offense needs to do well, the offense does well. If the defense needs to do well, the defense does well. Like, it's a very complimentary team. Team win. So why are we not talking about that? We're talking about the downfall of the Bengals. Like that. Bad TV.
Yeah.
But those are the fourth best team in the NFL. Their offense looks amazing, and they haven't even thrown the ball that much. Devontae Smith isn't even back. The defense looks good. Honestly, they looked better than the Lions this week. So, especially with all the Lions injuries and stuff, that might be the place to go. What is happening? Oh my god, I love technology. Okay. This doesn't make any sense. But I can see you on this. So like, I don't understand why it's not working on this. I don't know. This is so weird. There we go. Okay.
Back. I don't know what happened there, but
sorry. Technology. It's crazy.
I was talking, and then it said you were not visible, and then I was just full screen, and I was like, wait, what happened?
But yeah, so it was a nice week. I feel like now the time NFL gets more interesting, kind of like where our fantasy playoffs are. It's like every game is gonna count. Every game is this is where like the good teams need to actually start trying and kind of take themselves away from the pack.
Definitely. I think they said that was the second or third highest yardage that Russ has ever put up in his career.
Wow.
So that was
he like almost 500 yards. It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. Him and Jameis almost 500 yards passing.
Yeah,
crazy stuff this past weekend.
But see, like, that's what I'm liking. Like, I used to like criticize. I'd want like a whole team. Like, it would have been nice if we shut them down and the offense did well. But I'm starting to come around and say, okay, well, if the defense isn't doing well, then the offense is doing well. If the offense is
Yeah.
doing well, then the defense kind of steps up and does well. The special teams steps up and does well. That sort of thing. So it's a very complimentary team that we're playing. And speaking of the Steelers, I'm very excited after this. I'm gonna watch the Hard Knocks for the AFC North. So that's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, 1000%. Really, the Bengals offense, they've been killing everybody. I think they're first in the league in offensive numbers. So this wasn't a slouch of an offense. And if you're going to play an offense like that, you're going to need to score points. And they scored points when they needed to. So
yeah, no, definitely. So and it was nice because like when we played the Ravens, since we beat them, didn't score a touchdown. And we had 5 red zone opportunities and didn't score 1 touchdown. But this time I think we had 3 or 4 red zone opportunities and we scored in every single red zone opportunity. So it was, like I said, the way that we're looking right now, I believe that we can go far.
I agree, and I can't wait to go to that game on Christmas against the Chiefs. I think the more the closer and closer it gets, it kind of I'm starting to think it's going to be one of those games where neither offense can move the ball, and one team wins at the end. But I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I think right now, with the way it stands, I think that the Steelers can beat the Chiefs. So it'll be interesting to see as we get closer. Only a couple more weeks.
Out of everybody in the AFC, who do you think can actually beat the Chiefs?
The Bills and the Steelers.
Yeah,
that's it.
I agree.
The Bills, just because they already did it this regular season, and I think the Steelers, they show a lot more problems for Mahomes than like other teams have. Hopefully by that game, when that comes around, hopefully you have Highsmith there healthy and TJ Watt healthy, both coming at Mahomes. Good linebacking core, good safeties. We'll get into the corners here in a second. But they have a good team, and I'm really starting to become like a really big fan of Calvin Austin III. I like the way he plays. George Pickens has been really good. Him and Russ have seemed to look really like they needed each other. The running backs are good, and the O-line is above average. So,
yeah. No, I agree. It's going to be interesting this offseason too, because are we going to re-sign Russ? Are we going to re-sign Justin? You know what I mean? Or how much are we going to pay them? Is Russ going to be looking for a bag, or is he going to just want to be a Steeler? Like, in my opinion, I would just want to be a Steeler. The way that we're treating him and the way that he's performing and stuff like that, like, why would he want, a lot of money and risk his career, risk his legacy for another team like the Giants if they pay him really well, like that sort of thing. So
yeah,
it's going to be.
I think it would look terrible if he was like demanding a big contract and like they couldn't come to an agreement and he left. That would look so bad on him.
No, 100%. It's gonna be. It should be interesting. I don't want to let go of Fields either. Like, I think Fields could be our future. So then I don't want to get rid of him either. But then
I saw an article that said that Justin Fields has the second most odds to be the Jets quarterback next year.
Ooh.
First most odds is Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but
yeah,
Justin Fields is the second.
That would be wild.
That would be a really interesting fit. I don't know if it would work very well.
Yeah, it would depend on who the coach is.
Yeah,
the coach would be the deciding factor.
You need an offensive guy, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So.
But let's get into. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say I think the Broncos can also give the Chiefs a run for their money. honestly.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I want them to win in Denver. I really want that. But let's get into the major news that has happened today. Christian McCaffrey, after a long season of injuries, missing a bunch of games, he came back for 2 or 3 games, I think. Maybe it was 3. I can't remember. And had just 2 or 3 attempts running the ball against the Bills this past weekend in the snow. Looked good. Looked like he was going to be running the ball pretty well, and then he gets a toss going right and slides down and leaves, goes right to the blue tent, and there's a bunch of speculation what happened. They're saying it's a PCL injury. Shanahan said that he could be out for a few weeks. He could be out for the rest of the season. And Jordan Mason, his backup, has also been placed on IR. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like for the Niners. I mean, to me, their season's over. You look at the amount of injuries that they have. Trent Williams is hurt. Christian McCaffrey's hurt. Jordan Mason's hurt. Fred Warner's playing with a broken ankle. Hufanga's still hurt. You can go on and on. They have, I think, Kittle's playing with an injury. Brock's playing with an injury. So everyone's dealing with something in the Niners locker room. And it's funny because I remember Darian and Nim asked me before the season, they said, you don't think the Niners will get to the Super Bowl? And I said, I have a bad feeling. I didn't think it was going to be this bad. But
Drew, you cut out. I don't know if you can hear me, but yeah, the Niners are. I think the Niners just need to. The Niners need to just call in the ticket, start making those off-season plans, and I don't know. I feel like this season they just felt so defeated after losing the Super Bowl because they truly believed, and feel like everybody truly believed that the Steelers or the Niners should win. But the fact that they didn't and they lost the way that they did in overtime and all of that type of stuff, I think that that it's just not in the very beginning. You can kind of tell there's just a different vibe coming out of the locker room, and I feel like that just kind of spread like wildfire throughout the locker room. So, all right, I think you're back, Drew.
okay.
I think
but
it's my Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on. So
yeah,
I don't know.
some weird stuff going on. But we'll get through it. Maybe I'll just duck in and duck out a couple of times. But yeah, my question to you, Nim, how should the 49ers proceed with this? I mean, I would think their season's over. It looks like all signs are pointing towards that. You have Christian McCaffrey coming back next year off an injury. He's had a long injury history. You have Purdy, who's off his rookie contract now. So you have that question. Do you extend him or not? You have a lot of guys that have been around this 49er team at a much older age now. So how do the 49ers proceed here?
I mean, honestly, the way that they got the injury bug is obviously really hurting them, and I would just can't really call it in because you can't, tanking is illegal and all that type of stuff. But like I said before, they should just start making those off-season plans. I mean, technically they're still can still win the division, but I honestly would just try to get a better draft pick. Like if I was Warner, I would just heal, get ready for next season. And I just think that in general, they just need to work on these off season, the off season or the contract, go through the contract hoops and really sign Purdy. probably not give him the money that he really deserves, because then if you give him the money he deserves, then you're going to have to release a couple people, and then your team's just not going to be the same. It's sad because I think that their Super Bowl window is closing, and it doesn't look like it's going to be opening up this year, let alone, maybe next year, depending on who comes and who goes and whatnot. But there's been so many injuries throughout them that it's hard to give them, say that, yeah, you guys can make the playoffs and you guys can win.
Yeah, I guess this probably should have been my hot take, but I kind of feel like the Niners may need to start over after this season. I'm not saying get rid of everybody, but you're in this predicament now with Purdy. Either you let him walk and have him go to another team, or you pay him the absolute max amount of money you're going to have to pay him, because he's already brought you to a Super Bowl in his short career. And his agent, I know Brock Purdy's probably a nice guy, but I'm assuming his agent is going to throw that into the Niners' face and say, yeah, that's not going to work. We're going to need top dollar, at least comparable to some of the big guys in this league, Joe Burrow and Mahomes and those kind of guys. And the question will be, does he deserve that? I think, maybe it's possible they give Purdy a hometown discount, or just a discounted contract. That's the best option. If I were them, they're too late doing this. I would trade Debo. It's over for Debo. Like, you watch him play, he's on the verge of being like an absolute nobody in this league. He's not really what he used to be. I think playing those years at running back and receiver, it was great for entertainment purposes, but I think it's kind of derailed his career at this point. I would keep Kittle. I would keep your offensive line as much as you can. I would keep everybody on the defense, because that's been the one side that's struggling the most. But I would get rid of Debo. I might even try to get rid of Ayuk, to be honest. And I would work on trying to revamp this offense and put new people around Purdy, because you're starting to get to this point where, a lot of people are saying their Super Bowl window is closed, but now you're going to be at this point where you're coming off a losing season and you have an even older team, which is not good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Purdy really should look in the mirror and look at previous quarterbacks who are successful. You've never really seen a successful quarterback be the highest paid quarterback in the league. Patrick Mahomes wasn't, Tom Brady wasn't, Peyton Manning wasn't. Like, none of these top quarterbacks have ever been the top quarterbacks in the league, top paid quarterbacks in the league. So if I was Brock Purdy, and I would or if I was the Niners, I would tell Purdy, listen, we'll pay you top dollar, but we're going to have to get rid of Debo. We're going to have to get rid of Trent Williams. We're going to have to get rid of Christian McCaffrey, even though, it might not be, they might be bluffing, but I would still tell them, we're getting rid of a lot of these weapons that we've provided you. How good do you really think that you're going to be without all these weapons? Just like any quarterback, without Tyreek Hill, is Tua going to be that good? No. I think Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady are really, Peyton Manning also are really one of the only quarterbacks that will succeed without without good weapons. Every quarterback needs a weapon. So if I was Purdy, I would take a pay cut, have them pay all those guys. Like you said, trade Debo, because he's not doing anything for you. He's really just giving you more of a headache. And I would go sign T. Higgins. Having T. Higgins in there, then you have T. Higgins, Ayuk, Jennings, then you have McCaffrey. Then if McCaffrey is still hurt, you have Mason. Then you have Trent Williams, the best offensive lineman in the game, and Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy, you can still get 30, 35 probably a year, which isn't, it's not going to be the top dollar that he deserves because he is probably the top 10 quarterback in the league, but you're at least having that foundation around you in order to succeed. And so that's one thing that I would try to do if I was John Lynch, the GM, is try to bring Purdy and his agent down. Say, listen, we can pay you top dollar, but at the same time, if we pay you top dollar, we're not going to be paying any of your weapons, any of the rest of the team, and any of the foundation that you are going to need to be successful. So if you want that, then you might want to go to free agency. But I don't know, because I was watching this TikTok also, and this will be like my last point. Next season, there's not going to be a lot of quarterbacks in the free agent market. There's going to be who? Daniel Jones, Russell, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't take any of those quarterbacks over Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can kind of make a gamble in the draft, but even the draft, there's two good quarterbacks that are going to be picked in the top 10 at least.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're kind of handicapped.
If they lose out, they probably land like in the 10 spot, but Cam Ward and Shador will be gone.
Yeah. So then you would have Carson Beck, who doesn't even like watching football. So
I would not draft him.
Yeah, so it's like you're kind of stuck with Brock Purdy, but I feel like that's what I'm saying. Like, you need to tell Purdy, like, we can pay you because quarterback is the number one. You need a good quarterback in order to do well, but then at the same time, we're not going to be able to pay all these other guys that will help you succeed. So,
yeah,
help your legacy.
Moving on to Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin calls out George Pickens. He said that George Pickens, quote unquote, needs to has to grow up in a hurry in response to the 2 flags against him versus the Bengals. He was seen doing handguns to the crowd, and that got him a penalty. I think that rubbed Tomlin the wrong way for sure. But what is your response to this? Do you agree with this?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I feel like Pickens in general this whole entire season, he's really been like a meme player. Like, there's just memes every single game with him. And it's so different because that's not who the Steelers are. The Steelers are, a gritty bunch. We'll go by the rules. We're very straight and narrow. So the fact that we do have a player like this kind of reminds me of Antonio Brown, and look where he ended up when he was out of the Steelers. But one thing I do have to say is that he does need to grow up soon, fast, just like Tomlin said, because this is going to be because we are approaching the playoffs essentially. Because the after this upcoming week, we're literally playing every single playoff team besides Bengals week 18 if they don't make the playoffs. But still, I still believe that they're still a playoff team. So from next week on, we're playing playoff teams. So we can't give up 15-yard penalties. We can't showboat. We can't do any of this other type of stuff because that one penalty can really cost you the game. And so unfortunately, and unfortunately, the Steelers really haven't had that decision made. But I'm worried that decision is going to be made. It's like I think it was last year or 2 years ago when Claypool was celebrating when the last 30 seconds of the game, and then that cost us the game. So it's like things like that where it's like there's a time and place for showboating. There's certain showboating rules that need to be applied, but then we can't make dumb penalties. And he did 2. First one, okay, whatever. But the second one, come on, man. You can't. That's 30 yards right there against a good team, against a playoff team, against a Patrick Mahomes, against a Josh Allen, against even Lamar Jackson. That's not going to be okay. So that he, like he said, needs to grow up quick because this is where the gauntlet starts.
It's interesting that the Steelers receivers have had these similar type of issues. Claypool, Antonio Brown, George Pickens, like all doing these kind of antics on the field, which is it's just interesting that that's how it's worked.
I know. Like, how do we go from like Hines Ward, Anton Randall L, like to Antonio Brown, Claypool, George Pickens? You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a
Yeah.
weird transition. It might be this new generation that's coming up, but I don't know. I mean, Pickens. I think he can be. I think he's top 10 receiver in the league. Um, so I mean, he does have that skill.
Yeah.
But it's between the ears that really count.
Yeah, he's shown that he has all the talent in the world to be one of the best receivers in the league if he really wants to be.
All three of those quarterbacks throw to him. So even this year, he has had Fields and Russell, which two pretty good quarterbacks, but he doesn't have any consistency or anything like that. So once he has Russ and some consistency behind it, I think that he, like you said, he's going to be one of the best receivers in the league, but he won't be one of the best receivers in the league when he does dumb shit like this. Excuse my language, but yeah. And then Drew is gone again. I think we can still hear you. We just can't see you. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to have to figure that out, but let's refresh it. All right. So when Drew gets back, we will move on. Is there anything that you wanted to add, Drew? All right. All right. Let's go to this Trevor Lawrence. I don't know what's going on with your picture. I really don't. I wonder. It's true. Read access. Okay. All right. So I'll just wait till Drew's picture pops up. But so this week with the game against the Texans and the Jaguars, there was a pretty brutal hit with Trevor Lawrence and Al-Shazir, right? That's how you say his name? Al-Shazir. And there was a huge brawl that broke out, and Trevor Lawrence essentially locked up when it was on when it was he. So what happened was that he was running for a first down, ended up sliding, and Shazier rammed his forearm into his neck. Trevor Lawrence slammed his head back and then ended up locking up. So, which ended up resulting in a big brawl and causing Trevor Lawrence to have a concussion. So, huh? Oh man, okay. Oh, they can't hear me? Okay, they can hear me. Let me try this then. I'm sorry. I wish I knew what was happening. I need to look at what happened. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay.
There I am.
So what do you think about this hit? He actually got suspended came out today that he got suspended for 3 games. He does have a history of he's gotten like 5 or 6 fines from the league. Do you think this was a dirty hit? What do you think of this whole situation?
Yeah, it's hard because it's one of those plays where Trevor is running and at the last second decides to slide pretty much when the defender is gearing up to hit him or is already moving forward to hit him. So I can't really call it a dirty play. It is helmet to helmet. I saw that they were talking about this on ESPN, and Rex Ryan said that quarterbacks should start diving. And I was like, Rex, what? What kind of
Stop being on TV.
what kind of suggestion is that? If they start diving, that means they're just gonna spear their heads. What are you thinking? That's what people used to do, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, he like I don't know. I don't know how these people get on TV and
I
they
know,
are
right?
paid so handsomely. It makes no sense to me. but but anyways, I don't think it was a dirty play. I don't really. I hated the way that Alshire reacted to the whole thing. Sure, you can get in a fight. You can get a little tussle with Ingram, who pushed you. You can push people, but like having security come out to take you off the field and bring you into the locker room, I thought was just not a good look. And I don't know, man. That was what I just didn't like was his reaction to, them protecting their quarterback. His reaction to that because he was trying to fight every single person on the team, and it's like, okay, you can throw every punch you want. You're not going to knock out everybody on the field here.
Yeah, especially with your helmet on.
Yeah.
Do you think that the 3-game suspension is excessive? Do you think it's justified? What do you think?
3 games is a lot. I was actually pretty shocked by the 3 games, and I guess if the rule is that's where I'm getting kind of confused with the NFL because like Derwin James had that instance earlier this year where he had a hit on I think it was in the Chiefs game and they suspended it, or no, it was before the Chiefs game. They suspended him for the Chiefs game because he had a hit and they said it was like a helmet to helmet hit and that he's done that in the past, so they suspended him 1 game. So like if that's the rule, to me, Alshire should have been suspended 1 game, unless there's evidence in the past of him doing this over and over again. And like if that's the case, then how many did it take? Do you have 5 film tapes of him hitting a quarterback in the head in the sliding position to give him 3 game suspensions? Like that, it just kind of confuses me. I don't understand what the like stipulation between suspending is and why they kind of pick and choose the lengths of suspending players.
Yeah, and I think because of the brawl and because of all the headlines, I think the NFL is using him. Don't want to say as an example, but because of his history and whatnot, I think that is what caused the 3 games. But the way that the NFL came out with the press release, it was like this showed complete unsportsmanlike conduct. Like it went after him personally, and like that's one thing I didn't like. And I'm like, it's one thing like, it's football is a fast game, especially when you have multiple players running 4-5s and that sort of thing and all of that. So it's such a bang bang type of play, especially with quarterbacks. I mean, that's my thing. It's like quarterbacks are like really really pushing the envelope when it comes to these rules because they know that they really can't get touched. And then all of a sudden you have you have quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes where it shows that they're going to be running out of bounds, and then they end up running for 30 more yards. Or then you have another one where Patrick Mahomes runs over a defensive back in the end zone because you're scared to hit these quarterbacks. So then all of a sudden you see a quarterback coming and you're kind of stuck between a hard place, rock and a hard place because you're like, this is the first down. Is he going to slide or am I going to have to tackle him? And then you're like, that 1 second hesitation can cost either a first down or it can, or you really don't know what they're doing. So I feel like, and I'm not at all blaming Trevor Lawrence, but you kind of have not expect it, but you slid way too late, and you have to anticipate some type of contact. Now on the flip side, he shouldn't have rammed his brace into his head and then completely, like I feel like that would be a one game suspension because of that, and then maybe another game suspension because of the brawl and needed security to bring him out to the locker room. Like that I kind of get, but I think 3 games that's very excessive for a bang bang play. And it wasn't even like he was really, I mean, he lunged forward, but I don't know. Trevor Lawrence, it's not like Trevor Lawrence was like sitting down and like he was still in the sliding motion when that kind of happened. So it's unfortunate, and hopefully Trevor Lawrence gets a speedy recovery, but it's just one of those football plays that 10 years ago that this probably wouldn't have even been a suspension. It probably would have just been a fine. But the way that the rules are, and the way that the league has made these rules more quarterback based, more offensive based, that it sucks for defenders because of things like that, where you don't really want to hit the quarterback but then he doesn't look like he's slowing down at all. So it just sucks.
Yeah, I think the NFL needs to have a conversation with the quarterbacks and like sit them all down in a room and just play that play with Trevor Lawrence and be like, "Hey, you want to be like this guy? Like slide earlier."
Yeah, exactly. Like, and what's funny is that the way that like it's really right when they hit the ground. So even if they do even if he slid and he didn't get a hit, he still wouldn't have made the first down. So what's the difference between sliding a yard or two before you even you see a defender, or you sliding right in front of the defender? Like he's just supposed to just like watch you slide.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Moving on to the Atlanta Falcons game against the Los Angeles Chargers. Kirk Cousins threw 4 interceptions in this game. I don't remember the last time I've seen him throw that many interceptions in one game. So I thought that was really interesting. He had 2 interceptions that were like in double, triple coverage. One was in the back of the end zone. It was a horrible decision by him. Are you concerned about the Falcons offense? What does the future look like in Atlanta?
I don't want to say I'm concerned, because I feel like they're not really showing me anything that I wasn't really expecting. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't really expecting 4 interceptions, but then at the same time they're 6-6. So I thought they would do a little bit better, but like the way that Kirk, that last interception, or the one at the goal line where he literally just threw it up and hoped for the best, like that needs to be fixed right away. Especially if you're getting paid all this money. But looking at their lineup, I mean, they literally fired Arthur Smith because their offense wasn't doing well. And I feel like their offense literally almost is the exact same as it was last year, except with a different quarterback. I don't think that their offense has really improved that much for what I've seen. I mean, there's definitely certain glimpses where I'm like, okay, they're a good playoff team. But then you all of a sudden, like last game, where they're like, they're going to get kicked out first round. So I am concerned, but I don't think anybody's anticipating the Falcons making the Super Bowl. So that I'm not like too concerned, where I'm not like, all right, well, they're going to lose it. But I think that they just need to get better.
Do you think Penix will see the field at any point?
No, not at all. I think that they're going to do that, the whole Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love type of thing. He's not going to see the field for another 2-3 years. Maybe his 3rd year. Unless, obviously, what's his name, Kirk gets hurt. But I can't see him playing.
Yeah. To me, Kirk looks less mobile since that Achilles injury.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he knows that. And his panic meter starts to go up a lot faster because he can't move around like he used to. It was a very interesting game to watch just because I don't know if I don't know when the last time I've seen him throw 4 interceptions like that. I know that there's been games where he's fumbled a couple times and threw an interception, but I don't know the last time he's thrown 4 interceptions. It seemed like you said, he was just kind of throwing them out there and being like, I hope my receiver catches it, and it's in the middle of 5 defenders. It's like, well, I got news for you, Kirk. He's not going to catch that.
I mean, it wasn't even close. Like, it was such a bad ball. Um, but I mean, looking at their schedule, it's not. I mean, they have no, they have Minnesota this week, and then they have Vegas, Giants, Washington, and Carolina. So I mean, those
Yeah.
I feel like are very easily won teams. I mean, winnable games. Besides, maybe Washington would be really the only game. Washington and Minnesota. So I mean, I still think that they're going to win the division, but I can't see them going far in the playoffs.
Yeah, me neither. Are they first right now in that division?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, that division's always kind of been like the worst one in the league,
Yeah.
and looks like even with Kirk in Atlanta and Baker in Tampa, still the worst division in all of football.
Seriously, it's crazy. But it's gonna be I don't know. I feel like the Buccaneers definitely should win the division, but I just don't think
should.
that they're going to. I think there's too many injuries, and the Buccaneers are definitely a better team after this week that I
Yeah.
saw.
They should definitely win the division. They have a lot of injuries, but you still have a healthy Mike Evans and
Mhm.
a good O line. Baker's been like surprisingly one of the better rushing quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
And you have
honestly, I feel like he's like maybe I might even put him in the top 10 this year, the season,
Yeah.
whatever. I would put him in the top 10 of performance this year.
I don't know what his yards are rushing the ball, but I've seen him a lot of times take off and he gets a good amount of yards. 8 to 12 yards.
Yeah, it's crazy. He has that undercover speed.
Yeah. But let's move on to the hot take Tuesday. And just so you guys know, Darian's, I'll give it to you. He said that if Trevor is out, Mac Jones gives the Jaguars a chance to win down this upcoming stretch. So win a couple games.
Wow,
Super hot take.
that's crazy. What's the Jags' schedule?
That's a good question.
I have nobody on the Jags, so
I mean, they're one of the worst teams in the league. I don't really.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of crazy. And Mac Jones is gonna be their saving grace.
He played a full game earlier and didn't look great. So I thought that was a pretty interesting take.
They have Tennessee this upcoming week, Jets next week, Raiders the following week, and Tennessee week 17, and then Indy in 18.
Yeah, that's not a bad schedule, really.
Yeah,
They're still a really bad team, but
I was gonna say I don't know, but
They-
so is Tennessee. So
they could win one or two of those probably
yeah,
at the most.
I was gonna say I was looking. I mean, I don't know. Depending on if how the Raiders do, and then they'll probably go 1-1 with Tennessee, and I highly doubt they're gonna beat the Indy. I mean, the Jets, the way that they've been playing, who knows?
Maybe they beat the Jets.
That would be, oh my god,
I mean, I wouldn't put it past the Jets at this point.
that would be wild.
But what is your hot take today?
My hot take is that, kind of touched about it. I don't know actually. But Kansas City is going to be out the first game of the playoffs. So they're not going to win one playoff game this year. Throughout the whole entire season, and I went through every single game. They've only played one team that has a winning record, and that was the Bills, and they lost. They played the Broncos. When they played the Broncos were 5-5. When they played the Chargers, they were 2-2. When they played the Falcons, they were 1-2, and when they played the Bucks, they were 4-5. When they played the Ravens, that was the first game of the season. So they haven't played one. They've only played one team with a winning record at the time, and they lost. So it's gonna. I mean, this upcoming schedule that they have is really going to be a true test to see how they are doing or how they do, but most of it's divisional games, so that kind of has an asterisk in itself. But they have the Chargers this week, and then they have the Chargers this week. They have Cleveland next week. They have Houston the following week, Pitt, and then Denver. So out of those 5 teams, 4 of them have a winning record. So I just don't think that they've been playing well. I think that they've just been lucky. The difference between the Chiefs and the Lions, who also haven't really played anybody with a winning record, is that the Lions are blowing these teams out. The Chiefs are barely winning. They barely beat the Panthers. You know, they barely beat the Saints. They're barely beating these teams, and yeah, they know how to win, but then they know how to win against these teams that are below 500 or below. So let's see what happens with the team that is above 500. Then we will determine, how well they do. But I really don't see them going far in the playoffs at all. And I think same with the Patriots. I remember the Patriots, they lost, I think, first or second round. And then we had the Ravens and the Steelers in the AFC Championship. So, I mean, there is some type of downfall that could happen where the Chiefs they're going to lose that first or second game of the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think so. But
I'm telling you, clip it. I'm telling you, once January hits, first game, they're gonna be gone.
that'd be really interesting. But I would say the difference between the Lions and the Chiefs is the Lions are dumping their playbook out every single week. The Chiefs are conserving their playbook every single week. I mean, you have Penei Sewell going to throw a pass.
Yeah, that was so funny.
But
that's true. I mean, and the Lions do have injuries though. But I don't know. I mean, the playbook can only take you so far. The way that they're playing, though, man. I mean, we talk about this probably every year. My brother brought that up. We talk about the Chiefs. Oh, they don't look the same. They don't look the same. And then playoffs come and they look completely different. But I just can't see it. I just really can't see it.
Yeah, what's crazy is I heard someone on Fox today talking about this. Nick Wright, he was talking about this. He said if they lose out right now, they would end the season 11-5, which was what the record was last year. So they're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. But honestly, if they win out, then 100%. I mean, if they lose out, then 100% that they're not going to do well. Because last year they had the momentum going into the playoffs.
I mean, they could be there. I think they could be Houston.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that they're going to lose out, but I'm just saying, in general, I think that the momentum is going to be huge, and then they have Pittsburgh and Denver to close out this season.
Yeah.
So, plus, like if you think about it, the Ravens are really the only Ravens and maybe the Chargers are the only. Oh, and the Texans are the playoff teams that I can see them beating. But then that gives the Broncos, the Steelers, and the Bills that if they line up against them, it would be really, really hard for them to beat them.
Yeah, I wonder if once you get to that point against the Broncos in the last game of the season, if you only play Mahomes like a quarter.
Yeah, that's true. Because you're already gonna make the playoffs. It's gonna be different because if they want that first round bye or not.
Yeah,
Like if there's at contention with that, then yeah, they're gonna be playing and they're gonna want to win. But then if they don't, then he's gonna be playing a quarter and a half, and then they're gonna rest the rest of the starters.
I think the only teams they're competing with are the Bills and the Steelers right now for the number 1 seed, right?
Yeah, I think just
Right.
the Bills actually. I don't know if the Steelers are even in it.
So what the Bills' record is? What's the Bills' record right now?
Good question. The Bills' record is why is this not? I'll look it up on my computer. The Bills' record is 10-2.
So they're 10-2, and the Chiefs are
11-1, right?
11-1.
Yeah.
So pretty much it's coming down to them. Steelers are still in it with only 1 game behind, really,
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like I guess 1 game behind.
from the Bills.
Yeah. But then the Bills get the tiebreaker when it comes to the Chiefs.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do there at the end.
Yeah.
But let's get into
What's your
my
hot
hot take.
Oh, I was gonna say. I thought we were okay. Sorry, I jumped the gun.
So from watching this past weekend, I do see one major issue for the Steelers. I actually really like Deontay Jackson, the corner that you guys got from the Panthers.
Mm-hmm. Great pick.
But Joey Porter Jr., on the other hand, I have some concerns about. I think he might be exposed in the playoffs, and he might be the downfall of the Steelers in the playoffs. If you watch this past game against the Bengals in the first quarter, I think it was the second touchdown drive by the Bengals. I could be wrong, though. He tackled a receiver in the end zone, and they called a defensive penalty on that, and they scored a touchdown right after that. Later in the game, he had another pass interference call. You look at some of these past games, he's had pass interference calls, but now they're kind of starting to ramp up more and more. That was kind of his deficiency coming out of college, was how handsy he is with receivers and how many flags he gets against him. And that's starting to show in the NFL. I think, like the teams we've been talking about, if you're going up against Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, they're going to go right at Joey Porter Jr. They're going to throw some bombs his way just to see if Joey Porter Jr. is going to put his hands on the receiver and cost the team. Because, in the NFL, you could have a 88, 99 yard defensive pass interference call and put you right at the 1 yard line. So I think they are going to start going right at Joey Porter Jr., and I think that's going to be a problem for the Steelers in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's been a problem with us all year. I mean, even last year, his rookie year, there were so many times where he would get PI'd, and we're like, "Oh my god!" And it's just, yeah, that is one of the biggest concerns. I think that just in the defense in general, I think that's like one of the only concerns I have for the defense is that defensive pass interference.
I think it's more concerning than Broderick Jones, and Broderick Jones has been pretty bad all year too.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. He needs to just clean it up. Like, I don't understand how. I don't know. It has to be something that the coach is telling him. Like, it's okay. I'd rather you take a pass interference than them give up a 40-yard bomb. But then at the same time, like, I don't know. It's
Some
very
DBs,
concerning.
some DBs, that's just kind of their style. It's kind of how they play, and it can be hard to rattle that off someone if that's always how they've played. If they've had success playing that way, it can be really hard to make them stop doing that.
Yeah, the only good thing I feel like, or the only positive thing I have, is that in the playoffs, the refs let them kind of get a little bit more physical than in the
Yeah.
regular season. Um, so hopefully that will be the case. But then if he's tackling somebody, I mean, obviously they can't do it.
Yeah.
So
To a certain point, they'll let you.
yeah, exactly, to a certain point. So
Did you see that clip of Broderick Jones talking to Mike Tomlin going into the locker room?
oh my god, bro, I
That was so
love
funny.
him. He is so funny. That really
Broderick,
made me laugh so hard.
Broderick said,
Oh, you're Mike
"Oh,
up?
you're Mike Tom?"
Shut the fuck up. Get the fuck in. Shut your ass up. Oh my god.
He said, "He said, shut your ass up and get in the locker room."
Yeah. Oh my god, he was so funny.
That was
And then
hilarious.
Broderick Jones was like, "Oh, you're the feds." Like, shut your ass up. Oh, I love that clip. But it
That
was
was
just,
a
and
funny
that's why
clip.
I'm so excited about this Hard Knocks, is because Mike Tomlin's barely ever mic'd up. Like in the very beginning of the clip, he's like, "Get this shit off me. I'm tired of wearing this." Oh man.
He's hilarious.
Oh, I love Mike T. And actually, did you see that when George Pickens did the shooting penalty or whatever? Broderick Jones is the one that like calmed him down and told him he needs to, get your
Oh,
shit up.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's cool.
George is like, well, maybe you stop holding every play and I'll stop doing that.
Maybe you should look in the mirror and fucking walk.
Why don't we get into the Rage Cage?
All right.
Why don't you go first with your Rage Cage today?
All right. So it's kind of hard for me to find a Rage Cage, just because I was trying to be thankful, because of the holidays and whatnot. But then there's a couple days after Thanksgiving, and more specifically Saturday. I was excited. Rivalry. There's the difference between college. I feel like the college and the NFL is that there are a lot more people that care about college football, about a team winning, than the NFL. And so that's why rivalry week rivalry week is so important, because you're playing, like, for example, ASU played U of A. This is literally like the two big schools in Arizona going against each other. Georgia Tech, that sort of stuff. So it's really cool. Michigan, Ohio State. Then after the game, when the team wins, it is I don't want to say tradition, because it's not. It's more of like a hazing, like a shit talking type of thing, where they get their flag, especially if they're away, and they plant it right on the 50-yard line, right in the middle of their logo. And I feel like there's like 4 or 5 teams that did this, and actually it's kind of funny because a lot of them were away teams that ended up winning. So they get the flag, plant it. Then the home team comes and starts fighting. It was so bad that the cops had to use mace because there's people on the ground, and that sort of thing. So my rage cage is like, why are you getting mad? Why are you? I understand that is a disrespectful thing, but last year you're the ones that planted your flag on their turf. So, okay. So that's okay. That's fine. But then when they come and they do it to you, then it's not. No. It's called winning the game. And I'm more specifically talking to you Ohio Stateans. Yes, that's a word. Because you should have won. You were in the top 5. You lose to a Michigan team who I don't even think that was ranked, who's not even in the conversation for college playoffs, and they beat you. and then you have the right to fight them because they want to plant their flag on your logo. Win the fucking game. They don't have to. You don't have to plant the flag. They won't plant the flag if you win the game. It's that simple. Plus, especially since I'm talking about Michigan and Ohio State, every time Ohio State beats Michigan, they get like a gold chain with these gold like pants that have the score on Michigan and Ohio State when they win. Oh, that's okay. That's fine. But them planting their flag on your logo because they beat your ass, that's not okay. But last year, you guys did that to them. Oh, I see how it is. Fucking lock up and win the fucking game. If you lose the game, fucking take it like a... I was going to say take it like a man, but it's in 2024. Take the loss. Okay? There's nothing you can do. You fucking lost. Now you look like a dipshit fucking fighting. Like, what the fuck?
That was crazy. I think all the teams that did it, it was like ASU did it to U of A. Michigan did it to Ohio State.
The
NC State did it
Carolinas,
to North Carolina. I think there was other ones too.
I think Miami or Florida State. I think Florida
Oh,
State.
yeah.
There was
Florida
a
State,
fight.
Florida.
It was wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of weird how like everyone was doing that.
Yeah.
Seemed with like it almost seemed like a break in the simulation or something.
Seriously.
It was pretty like creepy, like how everyone grabbed their flag and tried to plant it into the logo of the other team's field.
Yeah.
And why were these all away teams too? That was
That's what I'm
another thing
saying.
where I
It
was
was kind
like,
of funny that the away teams were the ones that were winning, and then they ended up doing it. But
so
I
weird.
think that's why it was so weird, because most of the time the home team usually wins, or
Yeah.
like it's not these many away teams that have won. But Baker started it, and then nothing really happened, and then it ended up just being like a shit talking type of event. But with every shit talking, if you lose, there's nothing for you to fucking say.
Yeah. So for my rage cage, I think I'm holding a little bit more anger today. I found two things I can talk about. And number one, I've talked about it before, the movie theater. So I go and see Gladiator 2.
Great movie.
If anyone's out there that hasn't seen it yet, go see it.
Sorry.
Just-
Do you think it's better than the first one?
I don't know.
I liked it better than the first one.
I don't
liked
know.
The story a lot more.
I think I like the second one more. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think the backstory was really cool
Mm-hmm.
leading up to the second movie. And I love Denzel Washington so much.
Oh my god, yeah.
So yeah, I really like the movie. But yeah, so I'm watching Gladiator 2. Pretty epic movie. Like, this is the kind of movie that is going to raise record numbers in box office money, and it's going to be a pretty big movie this year, probably in consideration for movie of the year, I would think. Too bad I had 4 shitheads sitting in front of me watching the Ohio State and Michigan game and playing games on their phone. Like, I get it. I'm a football fan too. But you don't do that in the movie theater. You don't do that. You put everything away and you put your stupid little eyes on the screen in front of you, the big ass screen. That's what you do. You watch the movie. I swear, everyone's got ADHD nowadays. And it's okay. I should be more aware of it. But stop bringing it to the movie theater. Stop doing that shit. You're ruining my movie. God, I hate that. I hate it. I swear. You guys are going to see like a news report. They're going to be like, and a man in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania strangles someone to for what they say does not have movie theater manners. But
That's crazy. Watching the Ohio State game is wild.
it blew my mind. I'm like, how does this keep happening to me? Every time I go to the
know.
movie, every time I go to see a movie, I barely go to the movies now. And every time I go, I have people around me that just ruin it. Gosh,
And there's a
It
lot
annoy-
of good movies coming out too, so that kind of
it annoys me, man. And it sucks because like the commercials for the movie theaters before the movies come on, they have all these commercials that come on, but they're like, keep coming to the theater. We make movies different. And I'm like, sure you guys do, but look at all these idiots theater. Like these are the people that are ruining it for you guys. This is why you guys aren't losing money.
Oh my god, that's super true. That is so funny. It's 100% true.
I couldn't believe it.
That's wild.
And they were like tapping each other on the shoulder saying like, "Oh, did you see that?" Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, shut up.
Did you say something? No.
No, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do because it just seems like a normal thing now. Like
Yeah.
either you're recording the movie with your phone or you're
Oh my god.
or you're watching a football game or you're playing games or you're playing your ringtones out loud or you're screaming, singing, talking, putting your bare feet up on the seat in front of you. Like it's just a Looney Tune world now when you go to the movie theater. That's all it is.
Was this did both of these occur in Pittsburgh? Right? They both occurred in Pittsburgh, right?
My past two, Terrifier 3, yeah.
Yeah.
That was in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
But I mean this dates back to Tucson too.
Oh,
I was having crazy experiences in Tucson as well.
That's wild.
Like during Oppenheimer where like that movie's pretty quiet overall and people are talking. Like the whole movie. I'm like, I can hear you. I can hear every single word and you have no remorse about it. You fucking like it's so disrespectful and it's like
Very
it drives me crazy.
If you want to watch the Ohio State game, why are you why watch the
Like,
movie? Why spend
what are you
$20 for
doing?
movies? That doesn't make
What are
any
you
sense.
doing here? If you want to watch the Ohio State game, like what are you doing at the movie theater?
Never seen that.
Like I get it if you want to check your like the score in your pocket, like if you want to do a quick glance, put the phone back in your pocket. I get that, but to have the phone out like sitting like this watching the Ohio State game and then tapping the people on the shoulder next to you like, "Oh, did you see this?" Like, oh my god. So annoying. But number 2. This goes to Vance Joseph. That is the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. And, you know, overall, Vance Joseph, I would say he is an okay defensive coordinator. I like him. I like his story because he was the head coach for the Broncos at one point, and then we let him go. And then Sean Payton came, and then Vance Joseph came back to Denver to be the defensive coordinator. So I like that he came back. A lot of other people probably would say, no, like they fired me. Why would I ever come back? So I like that about him. But number one, I'll never forget about that 70-point game you let the Miami Dolphins score against us. And number 2, this past weekend that we just had last night, you let Jameis Winston, a backup quarterback in this league, throw 460 yards on you. You let a former Bronco get 13 receptions, 235 yards, and a touchdown. What I don't understand, Vance, is you run primarily man defense. Why don't you put Pat Surtain on Judy and say, hey, you follow him for the rest of the game instead of just letting Judy pop off? 13 receptions. And he was all high and mighty after the game saying, oh, a lot of boos. You know what that means? That there's a lot of catches. It's like, all right, Judy, like, have fun with that. You're going to be on the worst team in the NFL for the next 10 years, bro. Like, have fun. If you want to keep losing, we'll see you from the playoffs if you want to, change the channel when you're watching at home. But Vance, you got the best corner in the league. Why didn't you put him on the guy that's going off on your team? I don't understand that. You got Levi Wallace on Jerry Jeudy. That is the third string corner because Riley Moss is out. What are we doing? Why wouldn't you put Surtain on him? Insanity. Sometimes I watch these defensive schemes and I'm like, what are they thinking here?
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense.
And I'd say that about offense, and I'm more of a defensive person. But like some of the things that it's like third and 5, and they run like a draw. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? I don't know. Yeah, that was wild. I can't believe how high of a scoring game that was.
Should have never got to that point.
No, not at all.
When we were up 21-7, I think, that game should have ended 35-14.
Yeah.
There's no way it should have been whatever it was, 42-38 or whatever it was. I can't even remember the score.
Yeah, that was wild. I was not anticipating it being that high a scoring game.
I mean, it shouldn't have been. The Browns' offense is not that good.
Yeah, seriously.
That's what worries me about the defense. I'm like, you just let the Browns do that to you?
Yeah, but they got 2 pick sixes. So
Yeah, well, when you're playing Jameis,
yeah, that's true.
you got a pretty good chance of bringing at least one of those home.
That's true.
The fact that you got 2 of them just shows you where Jameis Winston's problems are. He said after the game, "Lord, deliver me from the pick sixes. I know I'm better than that." I'm like, Jameis, you've been doing this your entire career. So,
Bro, I love Jameis Winston. Did you see it? I think I sent it to you guys on TikTok where he was just like throwing the ball and then he was like,
yeah.
It's just like
He's a funny dude.
honestly, there's so many things that like co-align. I'm so glad that he's the quarterback for the Browns during this Hard Knocks. Because if I had to watch fucking Deshaun Watson be the quarterback for the Browns I'd be like, fast forward. All right, the Browns are off, But Jameis Winston is definitely going to probably be like the highlight. It's going to be him, Tomlin. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm excited for him. I love him, though. He's so funny. But, yeah, he's definitely a turnover machine. He had 30 interceptions in one season.
Yeah.
That's
31
wild.
30 interceptions.
That's so crazy.
Might have been 30-30. I can't remember. That was like his second year, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe his rookie year.
I don't know. But I heard that on First Take. They were like reading his interceptions and they're like 30 interceptions. Josh Allen has 3.
It's crazy thinking about that quarterback class because that was Mariota and him, Jameis Winston. And they were debating who's going to go first or second, and they both ended up being backups.
Yeah. That's crazy.
There was a lot of hype coming in to that draft about them. And I remember like you watch Jameis in college, you're like, oh, this guy's going to be a turnover machine. Like he was a turnover machine in college.
Yeah. Well, I think he came out and said that he couldn't even, like, he was like legally blind when playing quarterback or something like that. Like he had to get latex. But
looks like he needs to make another trip to the doctor. He throws the shit out of the ball though. Like he throws it as hard as he can. But I mean, those out routes and those hitches, I was wondering like, why are they throwing these over and over again? You missed that one time, and he did. It's a pick six.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that McMillan was on the ground, completely flat on his back, and stood up and ran it all the way back.
He paused for a second. He was like, hold on, nobody even touched me, and then got up, and I was like, what are they doing?
That shows you how bad of an interception it was. When someone's flat on their back and gets up and runs to the end zone, that shows you how bad of a pick six that was.
Crazy.
Do you want to power through this? Or you want to take a break?
We can power through it.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get into the fantasy side of our show. We will start with the waiver wire. There's not a ton of guys out there. Some of the names that I've looked at: Isaac Garendo, he's going to be the number one guy off of the waiver wire ad this week, with the news of Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason being down. The other running backs, if you don't have that top spot, I would look at number one, Jaleel McLaughlin from the Denver Broncos. He really showed out last night. It's been weird because you had the estimate showing against the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. You've had Javonte Williams kind of have good games, and now you had Jaleel McLaughlin come out and have a really good game. So it's hard to trust anyone, but I think they trust McLaughlin a lot, and he is the speedier back. They're going to be a very heavy committee. So if you do roster a Broncos running back, I don't have any confidence in starting any of them because they're really heavy in the committee, using all three backs. Someone else outside of Jaleel, McCormick from the Raiders. He stepped up in this past game against the Chiefs. It looks like Madison will probably be back, but Zamir White will be out. So I would think that McCormick and Madison will be playing together. Receivers, Elijah Moore, I like. He got a lot of targets again. So I really like him. Adam Thielen from the Panthers. He's always been pretty solid. So I think he's a good ad if he's there. Parker Washington from the Jaguars. And I like Caleb Williams from the Bears. I think I have a really good feeling about how Caleb's going to end the season.
Wow. That should have been your hot take.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people that I have on my list. Isaac, obviously. I like Blake Corum. I think that would be a nice handicap. As well as who I forgot the Cardinals backup. Their backup receiver, running back. Those are kind of good if you have
Demicardo.
Demicardo. Those are good players to have. It's like a handicap, especially if you don't have too many people on your bench. You have those top players. I might put them in just in case something happens, especially in playoffs. You don't want that to happen. Wide receiver in our league, we have Cedric Tillman, who is available, so I like him coming back from injury. And then this person is 20% rostered in ESPN, Westbrook Akine. Especially with 6 teams on bye this week, he's a great person to kind of put in into one of those spots, especially if you have 2 or 3 people on your team that have buys. And then MBS as well. So he's rostered in 22% of the league. So he doesn't have too many targets or anything, but he's kind of a touchdown machine, especially they're going up against just had it.
Giants.
The Giants. So I feel like they're going to give him the ball a lot. And he has 11, 16, and 25 points week 10, 11 points week 11, week 12 bye, and then 11 points week 13. So, and that was right when he got to the Saints. So I like those 3. Akine has caught a touchdown in like the last 4 or 5 games. So those are the wide receivers I like.
Yeah, I like those picks as well. Let's get into the defensive start of the week. These are defenses you could probably grab off of your waiver wire. Nimmer, who is your defense this week?
So I had this team, and then I ended up trading Darian for him for the Steelers defense. But I like the Philadelphia Eagles this week. They really showed out against. I feel like this past week it was really against those 2 very, very offensive minded teams with the Ravens and the Eagles. But the the Eagles defense really showed out. I really liked the way that they played, and then they're playing Carolina, who, don't get me wrong, they've done really well, but they're still the Panthers. And Philadelphia is ranked 10 against defenses. The scoring, Carolina is ranked 30th. Carolina's offense is ranked 30th, while Philadelphia's defense is tied for 4th in scoring. Third down conversions, Carolina's 27th. Philadelphia is tied for 2nd. Passing, they're 29th. And the Philadelphia is ranked 3rd. Rushing, the Panthers are ranked 24th. Philadelphia is 7th. And then first downs are the Carolina's last and Philadelphia's 3rd. So I think that the Eagles might even shut them out. They're going to get off the field a lot. Might even, some interceptions, some sacks, some strip fumbles and stuff like that. I don't think Bryce has really seen a defense like this. Well, I guess the Chiefs, but yeah. So I like the Eagles this week.
And I like the Saints. They have appeared on my defense start of the week before. Really, if I'm streaming defenses, I'm looking for whoever's going up against the Giants, and that's who the Saints are playing. The Giants and the Panthers are probably the ones competing for the worst offenses in the league. I think right now the Giants have a heavy lead in that department. I told you last week, go and get the Cowboys for the Thanksgiving game. That defense will do good for you against the Giants. They got 18 points, so they were one of the top scoring defenses. I think the top scoring defense this past week. And I think the Saints will definitely get you sacks. If they can get you a pick six, just like the Cowboys did, well, then you're looking at another double-digit outing from your defense that you're streaming. So go ahead and pick up those Saints. And we will get into league winners now. We did quarterbacks last week. Now we're going to focus on wide receivers. Darian's wide receiver, it was Nico Collins. Nimmer, who is your league winner at wide receiver?
My league winner, I really like this Mike Evans. I think that his schedule is very favorable. He's playing against the Chargers, who were ranked 14th. Dallas, who's ranked 21st, and then the Panthers, who he just popped off against. And then this past game, he's had 8 targets, 118 yards, and 1 touchdown. I feel like this was the first game where he really wasn't injured, and he doesn't have really Godwin. And he essentially popped off with like almost over 20 points. So, and he also needs an average of 95.8 yards per game in order to reach that 1,000-mile or that 1,000-yard club. So, and I think he's hit that 5 straight years. So that's probably on the forefront of him and Baker's mind. So I think that he's going to be a league winner.
I agree. I really like Mike Evans. I talked about him a couple of weeks ago being the guy that you should trade for. Talked about his playoff schedule.
Sorry, there's a fucking mosquito in my room.
So I think Mike Evans is probably the clear answer here. He is the league winner at wide receiver. Now for the number 2 guy, I know you're probably thinking, oh, Drew's going to say Jamar Chase, or he's going to say Justin Jefferson, or someone else, T. Higgins, or some other big name at wide receiver. No. I'm staying in Denver for this one. I'm going with Courtland Sutton. He is going to be a league winner at wide receiver this year. You look at the matchups he has in the playoffs. He's going to be on a bye week for week 14. That's this week. But round 1 of the playoffs, he'll play Indianapolis. They are middle of the pack against wide receivers. Round 2, they are playing the Chargers. That's a tougher matchup, but I still think Sutton's going to perform well in that game. And then championship week, he plays the Bengals. And you just saw what the Steelers did to them. you look at the amount of targets that Cortland Sutton's getting, he's getting north of 8 targets a game right now. So it's looking like the Broncos are looking for him nearly every passing play. And he's actually starting to get into the end zone more than he has in the past. So it's been a really good year for him. He is the wide receiver 7 on the year, which is crazy. Nimmer called him as the sleeper this year. He really is. He's been a very big sleeper. I'm going to say he's definitely going to win some people championships out there. If they're sitting there with Cortland Sutton and wide receiver 2, that's a really good recipe for your championship this year.
Yeah, he's my wide receiver 3, so it's looking good. No, I feel like he's surpassed. What's his name? Terry, Scary Terry. So probably is my wide receiver 2.
Yeah, I mean, really in Denver, Marvin Mims just had a good game last night, but really only off one deep shot to him. So, like, Sutton's the guy.
Yeah, well, Vele, right?
Yeah, I like Vele too, but he's still a rookie. He gets some good target share, but Sutton is the main guy in the offense. Even, I mean,
You're like, no, I know my Broncos, blah 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 blah.
yeah.
Trying to tell you.
I thought that Bo and his connection wouldn't be the way it is, but I can tell that Coach Sean Payton really trusts him. So it's been awesome watching as a Broncos fan. I think for fantasy owners out there, he's gonna be very special in these playoffs. So
Yeah, I like that. I like that take. I hope you're right. And I'm wrong.
But let's get out of here. Nimmer, did you have anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No. Just me and you are playing this week, so it's gonna be interesting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the matchup for this last week. If I beat him, I think you go to the 6th seed. And if you beat me, I stay at the 6th seed.
Yeah. And then, I think it depends on what Devin does too, because I think we both have more points for Devin. But anyway, yeah, it should be fun. Let's see. Do I have a good quote? No. It's "Don't chase status." It's a pretty good quote.
Don't chase status.
Yeah.
I like that. But that is it from all of us. Hopefully Darian's back tomorrow. We are now officially in December, hence our background. Crazy how fast this year is going.
No, it is wild. I can't believe it's 2025, man. It's insane.
Well, not yet, but yeah.
It's about to be, yeah.
Essentially, it is.
Like, if I've ever had like dementia, what time period would I think that I'm living in? And it'd probably be like 2010, 2012. Like, it feels like it's back. When you think of 2012, it feels like it's only been like 5 years, but it's been over 10 years. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. But that's everything from us. We will be back tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night.